thank you for signing up for this webinar. This is the Seller Toolkit Webinar Pro Edition, and this is where we are going to deep dive into all of the features that come with TCG Player Pro. It's a suite of tools. It can work really well for brick and mortars as well as online only sellers. So we are going to dive into all of those features. Um, the webinar itself will take probably around 40 to 45 minutes, and then we're going to leave about 15 minutes at the end for a Q&A. It's as you have already been doing, feel free to utilize the chat. Uh, as as we are doing the webinar, we us panelists probably won't be paying too much attention to the chat, but if you have questions for us, utilize that Q&A feature should be at the bottom bar there down in Zoom. Um, Submit questions there and we'll answer them at the end. And before we jump in to the webinar, I just want to do some introductions with the panelists here. Not only are we customer success managers, we are also growth acceleration program advisors. The growth acceleration program is a free program for any seller, brick and mortar, online only, been selling for 30 years, been selling for a day. It's good for everybody, and we cater each one to each seller. So Eric Wall just dropped a link, and if you are interested, sign up. Again, it's free. You get to work with one of us one-on-one to help with anything from, going over best practices to any questions you have regarding, maybe you just signed up for Pro. You've got some questions. How do you use it? If you don't learn it in the webinar today, work with us one-on-one. So anyway, there's the link for the Growth Acceleration Program. And without further ado, let's do some intros. So my name is Sam Clement. I've been here at TCG Player since 2021. I'm joining from the rainy Green Mountains of Vermont. And my favorite TCG is Magic. I got back into Magic in 2018-ish because I love building decks and playing Commander. So that's what got me back in. Jan.
Thanks, Sam. My name is Jan. I started at TCG Player in 2014. And yeah, I'm really excited to be here today from nice, kind of rainy Virginia, usually nicer. I am originally a Magic player, long time fan of Magic. Got into Pokemon recently with my son, and yeah, no, it's been a blast. Love kind of sharing that generationally. But enough about me. D'Angelo, I'm going to pass that over to you.
What's going on today, guys? My name is D'Angelo. I've been with the company for 8 years at this point. I started with Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Was my first card game. I played it since release. Every Yu-Gi-Oh! Player has quit multiple times. I'm on my fifth iteration, right? But currently I'm playing One Piece, which is very interesting because I've never watched the actual anime. So every card is a spoiler. No idea what's going on. But I'm having a fun time doing it. I'm gonna pass it on to my main man, Jeff.
Thank you for that intro, D'Angelo. Hi, my name is Jeff. Also from beautiful Syracuse, New York. Let's see, I've been here at TCG Player since 2017, and I am a terrible Magic player. That's the TCG I know. I haven't played in a while. Favorite card is the Orthanopter because it's zero cost. And that's a little bit about me. Let's pass it to Hannah.
Hey y'all, I'm Hannah. I'm in Austin, Texas, and I've been with TCG Player since 2022. Before that, I was with Binder, so we were acquired. That's how I got here. And I've been playing, or well, I shouldn't say playing. I've been collecting Pokemon since iteration. Base set started when I was a kid, and I picked up Magic when I was in college. Now, mostly just play with my friends, kitchen table commander, when we have the time, which I'm sure most of you can relate to, is probably like once a quarter, if I'm being honest. And I do collect some of the other like card games just because I'm a fan of the IP, kind of the opposite of D. I'm a big One Piece fan, but I don't play the game. And kind of the same with Star Wars and Lorcana. So I'm a little here and there on everything. And that's me. So let me toss it back to Sam.
Awesome. So if you didn't, now you know us, the panelists. And before we hop in, I wanted to just cover the cost of Pro and get that out of the way. And also, it will be relevant for some of the presentations about the different features. So, what does TCG Player Pro cost? So, if you are a regular marketplace seller on TCG Player, non-pro, non-direct, your fees and commission, your TCG Player fees and commission are 10.25%. If you join Pro, that 10.25 actually drops to 9.25 to drop a percentage. And then the Pro fee is 2.5%. So there's no monthly subscription or anything, any, sort of cost like that. It is just 2.5% on your sales. And so you only pay for Pro when you make sales. That is the cost of Pro. And with that, we are going to hop in. Jan is going to take it away talking about scan and identify.
Awesome. Thanks, Sam. So let's get started. We'll talk a little bit about Scan and Identify. It's one of our newest tools and features that we rolled out, available only to TCG Player Pro sellers. And it's a great way to process a large amount of cards and inventory across multiple different sets and multiple different eras of specific games. And it's especially useful if you are not a living repository of game knowledge with an encyclopedic recall. So to get started, let's share screen and I'll show you a little bit here. Boom, boom. First thing you're going to need for the Scan and Identify feature is a scanner. We typically recommend the Ricoh FI8170. It's what our engineers used when developing Scan and Identify. You can use some of Ricoh's older models. There's the 7160, there's the 6130. I tend to be of the mindset that if you're going to invest in hardware and processes, it should be with the most, the latest and most accurate version. So that's why I typically go with the 8170. It's what I'll be using here today. So once you've got all of these hardware pieces hooked up and started, you can actually start scanning. So if you're using Apple, you can actually use their built-in image capture software, or Ricoh makes a free to download one. I think Windows may also have just something native built in. But we're going to jump into it and go into some scanning. So I definitely recommend setting up a designated folder for your scans like I've done for today. It's generally just to make sure that you can keep things neat, contained, and in order throughout your process. So you'll see here, we're going to do a couple different scans through. Let's just grab a bunch of magic cards. Why not? And I'll label these separately. Put those in the scanner, in the hopper there. And all we got to do now is hit scan. And we're just going to wait a quick minute here. I think I've got 35 cards here, if I'm remembering right. And these are just going to run through everything. It's very straightforward. The nice thing about this, the FI 8170, is that it doesn't provide, or it doesn't really touch the cards all that much. So when we were at the Gamma Trade Show back in February, I think I ran the same 50 cards through this scanner about 100 times each, and most of them were foil Pokemon cards. And even towards the end of it, I did not see any either like roller marks or anything on the cards. So even as fast as it's moving through, it's pretty gentle on those cards. All right, so we've got our scans, we've got that all set up. We're going to now navigate over to our seller dashboard and click into Scan and Identify. So for those of you who may already have Pro and are joining us to really kind of do a little bit of a dive, you may notice a couple differences here. On my end, what you'll see is this add scan batch. You won't have access to this quite yet. It's a new component that we're testing out, but you can consider this your sneak peek. But we're going to add a batch. In most cases, until you get access to that, it'll just say start scanning or start identifying. First, we'll pick our product line. These have to be locked in beforehand. So what did we do? We did magic. We're going to browse some files. We are going to select all. We've got 35 and hit next. And now we are going to lock in on condition and printing. And lock in is a misnomer. You don't have to lock in on condition. You can change the conditions later, but you will need to lock in on printing, whether that's foil, non-foil, or non-traditional foil. Same thing across the other different games that you're working with. So as with the new batch management sort of sneak peek here, you can actually name these differently. So I'm going to name this MTG non-foil. just for the sake of use here, and run this through our scan and identify. We've got a little progress bar there across the top. And I found it takes about the same time to identify 35 cards as it does to about 100 and 150, all about the same. So, excellent. This showed up. Perfect timing. There are 3 confidence levels for scan and identify. There's good, there's fair, and there's poor. Good means it's 99.99 repeating to some degree, confident that it's gotten it right. Fair indicates that there might need to be some manual adjustment, and poor means that there is something that is unidentified and definitely needs some manual confirmation. So in this case, we're going to address it later. Just to give a quick review, we've got 34 here, and we're going to just check these here for any fair. Fair is going to show up in yellow, but otherwise things look pretty good. Let's jump over to unidentified. Abundant harvest. So we're going to find a match over here. We're going to type in abundant harvest, find Modern Horizons 2, match all that, different symbol there, save the match, and then that will go away. It'll move over here into our catalog. And so if we wanted to, you could check here and see that this was a manual adjustment. Now, if, for instance, there is something that has a mistake, maybe this is scanning in as the non-showcase version of Bodsreed's Lieutenant, you can click onto that and hit find a new match. Whoa, I did not want you to do that. And you can type in the name and search for it that way as well if that was incorrect. Otherwise, you can click into that again. There we go. And if you wanted to do a quick run through and review, you could click through everything here and go one by one just to make sure everything is matching correctly. Now, once you're happy with what you see, you can take all of this and move it directly into your inventory. We tried to be as flexible as possible with respect to some of those different workflows that you guys might have. So if you're someone who has a sort of set pricing structure across all of your inventory, you can actually set that up ahead of time through this list price. And you'll see here for all of these different games, you can choose how you want those priced out. And anytime you change it, you'll notice here we've got last sold plus 10%. Maybe you want to do market plus 25 cents. Save that. That will now reflect over here and in your listing price total. And so once you have that, you can actually push that into your live inventory. If you're someone who wants to be a little bit more dynamic and granular, you can push that into staged and kind of address things one by one in your staged listings. But you can also then, once you're done there, change this at any point if you're not happy with what you're seeing. And then you can push that into live or push that into staged. And that's scan and identify. But maybe you are one of those people who wants to be even more agile with your pricing. And especially because with scan and identify, you can load up so much inventory so quickly. So to talk a little bit more about our pricing tools, I'm going to turn it over to my esteemed colleague, D'Angelo.
All right. So you've got all that inventory, you've got everything loaded. We got to price it now, right? So let me know if you guys can see this.
Looks
So
good.
what we've got here, right? I'm on the inventory tab just to show you where you would go to access MassPrice from your seller portal. You go over to the pricing tab, and there is a big MassPrice button here. What this is going to take you to is the MassPrice by TCG Player dashboard. MassPrice is exactly how it sounds. It is a mass pricing tool that allows you to set rules for how you want to price your inventory. And you can be very general with it or get very granular with that pricing strategy. So what we're going to do here is we're going to run through the creation of a brand new rule, right? Upon clicking this button, you'll be taken to a menu that looks like this, right? So you'll have to name the rule, and then let's get into the specifics of what all of these will do when you are updating how you want this rule to run. So right now, I'm going to choose the category of Magic, and I've got Rivals of Ixalan selected. I chose Rivals of Ixalan because it has pirates and it also has dinosaurs. And if I ran all of Magic's inventory, this presentation would be a little bit too long. So we'll take one set that I really like and then go from there. We can go with rarity, where you can choose this to be all rarities, or maybe you just want to interact with just your mythics and rares. Maybe you want to have it do only your commons and uncommons, but we'll have it just do all for now. Printings is going to be normal or foil. This will change depending on the game, right? With Pokemon, it'll be hollow foil or reverse hollow foil, full art, so on and so forth. Conditions will take you through near mid, LP, moderately played, heavily played, damaged. And there's even an option here for sealed product if that is something that you interact with on a day-to-day basis. Languages I would not touch. That could ruin things. But if I remember correctly, this does work for Japanese Pokemon. So you can actually change this for that. But I would not change it for Magic because we don't offer Japanese Magic on our website, except through the Japanese cards that came in English boxes. Little caveat, but little random history lesson on how that works. The price filter allows you to get even more granular, right? Let's say you only want to interact with your inventory that is between $1 and $10. You can set this up so that you can control whatever part of the inventory that you want to interact with, and then set your pricing accordingly. This gives you great control in the future because you can set up as many of these rules as you want. I go back to this dashboard and see, right? I can probably scroll through and view all of these, and these are all rules that I have set. And we'll come back to that after, just so I can show you what it looks like when you go to run a rule. But for right now, I'm just going to do none, and then we're going to go from there. So we get to the next tab where we have to define our pricing. And what this is going to allow us to do is define our pricing based on a couple of already preloaded options. TCG player market price, the TCG player median price, the low price without shipping, the low price with shipping, the direct low price, or the average of. These two are going to be very useful for the TCG Player Pro website, which Jeff will probably talk about more in his segment. So we'll focus now on maybe one of these others. So I'm going to choose the low price without shipping. And then from there, we can modify this based on either a percentage or a dollar amount. So we can do that either plus or minus. So I'm going to go plus 10%. When we get to the define minimum step, it has the exact same loadout as the define pricing step, but it has an extra option. This fixed amount button allows you to essentially set a price floor for your inventory, ensuring that no inventory is lower than whatever dollar amount that you put here. So if you want to run a price floor of 15 cents, you want to run a price floor of 25 cents, 50 cents, whatever makes good sense for your business is what you can set this at so that the prices of your lower end cards always be pulled up to this number that makes it so that it'll have a maximum and it'll have that minimum. Right underneath this is a safeguard that says skip updates that would lower my existing price by more than, and this is natively set to 50%. What this is let's say that you have this rule that you want to run, and you have a card that's worth $10, but you haven't updated the price on it in a long time. If that value of that card has dropped significantly, let's say there was like a ban list, or let's say like it's fallen out of favor, people aren't running that card anymore. Maybe that card's like $3, $4 now. If this rule would decrease the value of that card by more than 50% of what it's already listed at, this would just stop it from interacting with that card whatsoever. So what it allows you to do is protect the value of your investment, because maybe you did acquire that card at like $8, $9 and listed it for 10, right? You kind of don't want to sell that card at a loss. Maybe you'll see this, right? And you'll see in our next next tab how some of these cards it just won't interact with them at all. You can delist that card, maybe bring it back later when the price of the card goes up, maybe when the ban list shifts or the meta shifts in a way that's going to be useful for this card to go up. This you can set anywhere between 10% and all the way up to 80%. And a little fun fact about this is that this feature was actually implemented into MassPrice by a seller such as yourself. It was one of the things that was put into the feedback option that the backend designers thought it was such an incredible option that was going to be very useful for sellers at all levels. So whenever there's ever any chance for you as a seller to give feedback, whether that's to us, the growth advisors in the GAP program, whether that's in any sort of communication that we send out or that you see on TCG Player, I always recommend sellers to fill that out because you never know where the next great idea is going to come from. So, as we continue on, right, we get to this confirmation page. What we'll see here, right, is basically just a rundown of everything that we selected. We made sure to see that, the group is selected as such. Magic is the product that's selected, and it should be where it is. The pricing is what we want it to be, right? It's at the 10% that we selected, and our minimums are where they're going to be. From here, we have a couple different options. The two that I would always recommend you to do, or at least the first one out of these, is to hit the preview rule button. If I hit this preview rule button right now, it's going to probably take a little bit of time because what it's going to do is it's going to show you what this rule would look like if you ran it, which is what it'll look like in this tab right here. So what you can see is in Rivals of Ixalan, there were 145 items that were interacted with. 108 of them, the price was increased. 36 of them, the price was decreased, and one remain unchanged. So we can go look at this unchanged one real quick to see what that is. Angrath Minotaur Pirate. I don't even know if he ever came back. But the lightly played foil version of this card is just $1.86, right? I guess changing it by what it was, this is what it was listed at. This is currently what it is, so there's no change on that. If we go back over to the increased price tab, what we can see is that our price floor is working as intended. The cards that are under 50 cents have all been dragged up to 50 cents. But let's say that we want to see like an actual dollar change amount. We can see that the lowest thing that was brought up was a Path of Discovery because we had it listed at 49 cents. And then we can select this button again to see that Polyraptor, lightly played Polyraptor, went from $13 to around 16, which is really cool to see, right? Nezahal, Primal Tide, this Commander staple, Immortal Sun, this used to be a Commander staple, right? So you can see the dollar change amount here. You can also do this by the percentage amount to see what was the biggest winner here. And granted, it's going to be the Skymarch Aspirant that was 9 cents, that is now 50 cents due to our. So very cool stuff to check in here to see how the rule is running and then double check it to make sure that it's doing what you want it to do. So when we go back to this menu and check and see, the next thing that we can do is we can also add a schedule. So let's say you want to run this rule every day, right? You can have this rule run every day at 1 a.m. in the morning. So that when you're asleep, all of your prices can just regulate themselves, right? Or at least in this instance, Rivals of Ixalan will always be at the price that you want it to be. Or you can have this run through on every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Saturday, right? You have a lot of control over how you want this to run and when you want it to run. And you can have up to 15 of these rules run on an active schedule that allow them to price the inventory so that you don't actually have to. So what you'll see a lot of sellers do is they'll have like a rule, a very general rule that interacts with all of their Magic inventory, all of their Yu-Gi-Oh or all of their Pokemon, and then they'll have this run, in the middle of the night. And then when they wake up in the morning, they can come back here to this main menu, hit these three buttons, and then run this at, you can run this at 8 a.m. And maybe you can run it throughout the day, right? You can run this at like noon or 4 p.m. or 8 p.m. And this becomes really important during, let's say during our sale times, right? We have our, Cyber Weekend coming up. We've historically had a Cyber Weekend sale, right? And if you want to have control over the pricing of your inventory throughout the entirety of the day so that your prices always remain competitive, this allows you to set up that rule so that on the day of, it's going to be what you need it to be. And then throughout the day, you can run that rule to remain competitive throughout the day. MassPrice is a great tool for being able to interact with the inventory that you get loaded, because it means that once you start scaling into higher and higher inventory totals, it becomes much harder to interact with that inventory meaningfully on a one-to-one basis, right? Imagine having to price out 1,000 cards, and then imagine having to price out 10,000, 50,000, 100,000, right? It's an invaluable tool that allows you to get a lot of value for understanding your relationship with your time pricing those cards. So you've got all those cards loaded, you've got all those cards, you got all those cards priced. Um, Now you just need people to buy those cards, and they're probably going to pick them up on the marketplace. But what if they didn't buy them on the marketplace? What if they bought them on your own TCG Player website? To talk more about the TCG Player website, I'm going to hand it over to Jeff.
And thank you so much, D'Angelo, and wonderful transition. Hello, everybody. Thank you all again for attending this webinar. I'm here today to talk to you about the TCG Player Pro website. What this website does is it gives you a chance to connect your other social medias to your TCG Player account and gain better margins through the sales through the Pro website. And I'm going to go into it right now. I'm going to take the screen. And here we are. Okay, so to set up a Pro website, very first thing we're going to do is go into our Pro settings. And before we go into the Pro website itself, we're going to go to this tab up here called Channel Settings. Now, when I mentioned making better margins through your Pro site, you can do something right here where you're going to enable your store. And that is going to allow you to have your pricing for your store only, your online Pro store only, and your prices for the marketplace. And I'll kind of go into why that can be advantageous to you in a little bit here. Okay, so once you have enabled your store, next thing you're going to do is go into the Pro website tab. In this tab, first thing you're going to do is activate it. Now your store is running, and if you can see right here at the bottom, it will be your store name.tcgplayerpro.com. That'll be the name of your website. It's a nice, easy name to put on a business card. You can make a QR code, anything like that to put in your regular marketplace orders. We highly recommend you try to drive as much business as you can to your Pro store because of the greater margins you will get through the store. Okay, so after you have the site turned on, you go into customization. So in customization, you can see I've named it Point Card Pikachu. I have my cute little logo right there. You can pick any logo you'd like. You can also have a smaller logo underneath that. We have a light and dark theme that you can pick either one you want. Accent color, you can choose any accent color you would like. You can also change the font. You can have your store hours here. You can even have like a slogan or a logo right here for your footer message. And then at the bottom here, here's a chance to link your Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etc. All your social media that you want to link to your Pro site, you can. Some people are artists. Some people sell miniatures, board games, things that we don't sell on TCG Player. So it's a nice way to link your TCG sales to your other sales or your other businesses, whatever you are doing. Okay, so after we went through and we customized everything, now we're going to fill it with content. So right here in the content, you have a lot of different options. If you just go into manage, you can see right in here, I can change this name. If I don't want to say home, I want to say something else like items, anything like that. As you can see right here underneath that, there is enable automatic banners. So on your site, which I'll show you in a second, we do have preloaded banners here at TCG Player. You can load your own unique ones as well, and they will cycle in and out with our preloaded banners. Let's see, you can even have social media or social widgets if you'd like in there as well. But let's go back to content real quick. So if you want to add things, you can. We added quite a few here on our site, our test site. But if you go to the create new, you can add a buy list, event calendar, link, product menu, standard page, whatever you would like the content to be on your site, you can add it right there. Okay, so we've got our content, we've got it, we got our customization all set. We're active, we're ready to go. Let's see what it looks like. So this next tab is what a Pro website looks like, and you can see right here, there's my logo. These are my content banners. You can see your top selling products based on our marketplace. It's cards that you have in your inventory. Underneath here, you have latest releases, and this is going to be sets that you have on your site. There won't be anything that you don't carry on this Pro website. Underneath the latest releases, you can see there is a chance that you have your footer message. You have your contact information. You can do physical store address, hours of operation, phone number, whatever you'd like to do. If you want to put a event calendar, you can put one also at the bottom here. But yeah, that's basically what your Pro website looks like. And then I want to talk about one more thing, and that is the fees. Like I said, when you get people to buy from your pro website, you make much better margins than through the actual marketplace. So I'm going to switch one more tab, and these are the pro website fees. As you can see, anything that you get a seller or a buyer to purchase off your pro website and you have to ship out to them, there is no marketplace commission fee. There's only that 2.5% pro fee with the transaction fees. You can see that anything that someone has to come in store, either paying now or paying later, there is no marketplace commission fee, and there is also no pro fee. And you can see right underneath there, there's something called the kiosk order, and that has no fees across the board. And to talk more about that kiosk is Hannah.
Thanks, Jeff. Hey guys, let me get my stuff pulled up. The kiosk is super handy, not just for people who have brick and mortars, but also for those of you who are online only sellers who are maybe going to shows, vending. It's a really good way to have a good display for your inventory for your buyers. So the first step to setting up your kiosk, you can see here, in the seller portal in the Pro Seller tab. So you're going to go to user roles. So before you can access the kiosk, you have to set up a way to log into it. So you can see here, I have a couple of users listed, and then you can also set up roles as well on this page. So pretty easy, straightforward. You just put the name, email address. Something to note when you're setting this up is that you do have to have an email address that is completely unassociated with any TCG Player account. So it can be a real address or a fake address, but it does, like I said, have to be completely unassociated. And then you can also set it to an employee if you'd like. And then as far as roles go, this allows you to give specific access to specific users. So if you have employees that maybe they're your fulfillment specialist, you can have them only access orders, or maybe somebody who's your inventory specialist, only access inventory. Totally up to you, but this gives you a lot of control over who can access what within your portal. Okay, so we've got that set up. Now we're going to go straight to the kiosk. Again, pretty straightforward. It looks a lot like the Pro site login. You can set up your name, put in a logo. This is where you can set up like your calendar if you have a Google Events calendar set up. And then down here at the bottom is the link. It is a separate link to the kiosk. So if you wanted to set this up on its own tablet or its own laptop or something like that, this is where you would get that link. So we'll go into that. And boom, here's your kiosk. Like I said, really, really easy, really simple. So your buyers can just browse the different games. They can browse different sets. You can see here, this is best-selling cards. No shocker. Best-selling cards are all full art lands. So this is where they can just look for cards if they're, maybe they want to build a red and blue deck and they just want to browse some cards. They can do that. Or they can search for a specific card. So we'll just look for a Pikachu because I'm positive that I have a bunch of them. Yep. So here are all of the Pikachus that I have in inventory. You can see it's really nice because it has the large image. So if maybe they're not sure which Pikachu they want, this lets them look at the full card. And then if they want to get granular with what they're looking for, they can go in here to the filters. It's really comprehensive, has a lot of sets and different card types and things like that. And obviously this is going to be specific for each game that you have. So makes it really easy for your customers to browse your inventory without having to go sift through a 5,000 card box. Like we all know what that struggle is like. So really handy, like I said, for both your brick and mortar stores and for your vending situations. And so let's say they want to buy this card. We'll just add it to cart. And then they can go check out, and it'll go straight to in-store pickup. And what that'll look like on your end once they've completed it is you can see here in the orders, it specifically says the channel is my store, and it has it listed as in-store pickup. So you can differentiate between this and your online orders really easily. Helps that there's no confusion, when you're packing orders and everything. And yeah, that's, like I said, it's really, really intuitive. Pretty simple, not a lot to it, but it can be a really powerful tool for giving your customers access to your inventory. And one thing I do want to mention for any of the brick and mortar stores that might be in here, if you don't have the certified hobby shop designation on your account, I definitely recommend doing that because it does give you a little badge on the website. Lets everybody know when they're looking at marketplace that you are a certified hobby shop. You put in the work, you might as well reap the benefits, right? So if you are not designated that, there is a form you can fill out. You just go to the website. You can access that through, I believe, the chat bottom right, blue bubble, and get that ball rolling. So that's pretty much it for the kiosk. And I am the caboose, so I'm going to pass it back on over to Sam. And I think we're going to get into some Q&A, maybe. So
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, y'all. So just to piggyback off of the certified hobby shop, talking about hobby shop stuff, I do want to mention that the application for Hobby Shop of the Year 2025 is out and it is open until November 14th. I can share it here in the chat. So that is the application for Hobby Shop of the Year 2025. Not only do you get featured by us in many and large ways, you also get a super cool prize package, and so it's great. Okay, so that is the webinar. We're going to hop into some Q&A. I know that our moderators have been crushing the questions in chat so hard the whole time. But does anybody have any other questions that they would like answered while we have some time? Or panelists, do you have things that you feel like was not mentioned that you would like to touch on that may be useful for the attendees? Can you just upload a CSV file? Is there a template?
I'll take that one. Yes, you can absolutely upload a CSV file and you get a template as long as you are a level 4 seller or above, either marketplace or pro. You can do that. And yeah, let's jump into it. Actually, I'll do a quick demo here. So you'll want access, you'll need access to the pricing tab over here. And then you've got a couple different options. You can either download your entire live inventory, or you can export a filtered spreadsheet. So you can base that off of whatever game you might be carrying, and then go into different set names. Those after that, it's all multi-select. So I don't know, maybe Edge of Eternities and also Final Fantasy. Why not? Right? Uh, and then again, conditions and so on and so forth. We're going to export this just for the sake of brevity here. And this is going to be a giant one, isn't it? There we go. Cool. So here we are, and you'll see this is everything that exists within those parameters that we've set. Once you actually have this, the only columns you have to worry about are columns N and O for the most part. If you have, like Jeff did and set up the My Store, you'll have some additional columns there. But if you're just doing things on the basic level, columns N, columns O are how much you are looking to change your quantity, whether positive or negative adjustments, and what price you want to set your inventory at. And then
Awesome.
once you've got that, all you got to do, hop back over here and hit import into staged.
Nice, Jan. Thank you for that. We got a great question here. Is this replacing Binder? And so Pro and Binder serve different purposes. We have both to fit the needs of the sellers. And if you're unsure which is better for you, sign up for Gap. And then also, I know this was maybe answered here in the chat potentially, but if I go into Pro and then don't like the experience / value, can I revert back to a different seller level? And absolutely. Absolutely. So that's That's a good one. And then also, here is another question we got. So I'm about to open a brick and mortar location. Binder isn't allowing new accounts at the moment. Would the kiosk feature be good to manage single orders slash processing to be able to manage a single inventory under TCG Player? Take it away, Hannah.
I would say yes. I mean, definitely Binder has a lot of features, including a kiosk, but and I'm biased. I came from Binder, like I said. But I think kiosk and Pro in general is a comparable inventory management system that you could definitely use. Like I said, Binder has a lot of other features like the point of sale and things that just transparently, frankly, Pro obviously doesn't compete with. That wasn't what Pro was built for, right? But as far as inventory management and kiosk goes, I think it's definitely comparable, and you can use it in the meantime. And once maybe Binder opens back up our signups, then you can make the switch if that's what's best for you and your business at the time. But yeah, I do think it is comparable. I also wanted to mention, I know Sam touched on this kind of at the beginning, but and we've all kind of touched on it throughout. But if you guys are liking this presentation, Gap is basically kind of this on steroids. Like we don't necessarily go through and do it presentation style. It's definitely more conversational, but we go over all of this stuff if that's what you're looking for. We also talk about like different strategies for pricing and shipping and everything. So if this is something that you are enjoying, I definitely would recommend signing up for Gap because it is this essentially. So yeah, just wanted to give a little shout out to the Gap program.
Great shout out, Hannah. If you have, I know we have some people who have been through the program or are currently in the program here. If you have been, give us a little reaction. Use that little react button and show the program some love. I know there's some great stuff in the chat. But yeah, if you know how to do that, there we go. See some hearts go up. Appreciate y'all. Okay, so next question. In mass pricing tool, is there a rule that will keep your prices updated and competitive? If so, how would we go about creating that? Example, I post a card for $5 and go to sleep, wake up, the market is up, and oh, that question just disappeared. But D'Angelo, because you covered mass price, is there a way to keep those prices updated? That's exactly what mass price does, right?
Yeah, that's basically MassPrice is exactly what you're looking for, right? The answer is the question is the answer, right? So, MassPrice will just do that. And i- in my demo, right, I showed that you can add like a percentage point to whatever you wanted to update that inventory to, or you could just add 0% to that, and it will just be whatever the current market price is. So with if you chose the lowest listed price as well, it would choose to update that based on whatever the current lowest listed price is on TCG Player, meaning that it will be a competitive price in and of itself.
Amazing. Great question. Great answer. Another great question. Can we explain GAP? Who wants to explain the growth acceleration program?
I'll take it. Yeah, so the growth acceleration program exists because TCG Player understands that sellers are really the lifeblood of our community. And obviously, when you guys are doing well on our platform, so are we, right? Um, there exists a certain level of seller on the platform that we could call professional. And a professional level seller has the ability to self-sustain their own growth. They do this by having a very high level of institutional maturity, high level of industry knowledge, and high level of tool adoption. Right underneath that is a level that we could call pre-professional. Our thought process with this program is to provide as much access to knowledge and tooling that we can to help increase the institutional maturity of the sellers on our platform so that they can get to the point where they can self-sustain their own growth. The reason why we all work on this is because every seller has different needs. What you as a seller need is probably very different than what a brick and mortar in California would need versus what a backpack seller in New York City would need. And so the idea is that over the course of six-ish meetings, we would figure out where you're at on your seller journey, where it is that you want to be, and then with the resources available to us through TCG Player, we try to get you as close to that as we possibly can.
And it's free.
Completely free.
And it's free. The only
D'Angelo,
thing you're signing up and using is your time.
that was so well said and a beautiful thing to just listen to. Thank you. That was wonderful. Um, let's see, we got another question. Is there any way to get shipping prices of singles that are $50 or higher since it needs tracking compared to just sending PWE? Who wants to take that one?
So I think I can answer. I think the question, if I'm understanding it right, is there a way to set your shipping so that for any order that is, or any single card that is $50 or higher, has a separate shipping price than everything else? Is that correct? Yeah. Okay, cool. Same person answered yes. Awesome. So at the moment, shipping is flat across the general marketplace once someone hits $5. And so the way shipping works on TCG Player, we institute a minimum shipping threshold for $1.31. You can charge more in shipping if you'd like, but if you charge less than $1.31, you will still collect $1.31 until your buyer has $5 or more in their cart, in which case it flips over to whatever you are charging.
Awesome. Beautiful. Next question. Can you do a brief summary of how pre-sales operate? Who wants to take that? Pre-sales, anyone?
I can't.
Go for it, Hannah.
Hannah, you
Okay.
do pre-sales, right?
Yeah, technically. Okay, so first of all, you do have to be a certified hobby shop, brick and mortar. So again, like I mentioned in my portion, if you are one of those and you haven't applied, I would recommend it. And then once you are a certified hobby shop, you can then opt in to pre-sales. It's not by default. You do have to opt into it. You can do that. I believe in your My Details page, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's where you opt into it. And there are a few things that you do have to a few thresholds that you do have to qualify for. One of which is, I believe it's 99.5% average feedback over the last 90 days or something like that. Maybe it's 30. I'm sure all of you have great feedback, so that wouldn't be a problem. And then you do also have to have, there is a threshold of sales that you have to have, just general sales, nothing specific. But once you meet those qualifiers, you just click that button to opt in, and then you do have to maintain those levels of sales. It will automatically kick you out. So once you're in there, be on it. Make sure you're listing product to get it going, but it's not a very hard threshold to meet. And like I said, if you're a certified hobby shop, just mosey on over there. I highly recommend it. We all know that the best prices are pre-sale prices. So yeah, that's the gist. Somebody, if I missed anything, somebody correct me.
I think you nailed it. That's great. Um, Similar to a question from before, but different also. Is there a way to change shipping when people have 20 plus singles in one order? Because once again, you can't just ship PWE. So what do you do when you have too many singles? D'Angelo.
Yeah, so this is a very nuanced question, right? And so I'll try to give what I think are maybe like two pretty decent answers to this, right? So the first one is that there's always like a lot of talk around orders that are not worth it for you as a seller to ship out, right? Which then asks an even larger question is what am I charging for my singles? And is that correct? Because if someone is ordering 20 plus singles from you, and it's not efficient for you to ship that out, because currently of what our shipping rates are, right? If you would have to like up that into a bubble mailer, um, then we could start asking the question of like, well, maybe we could price those singles to be a little bit more. Um, the other part of it too is that there's nothing that is stopping you technically from taking those 20 singles and then shipping them out in two individual envelopes. Obviously, they won't fit in one. You would just print out the order sheet a second time and then have order one of two and order two of two and then send out two envelopes. I'll pass it over to Jeff if he has anything he wants to add on top of that too.
Do because like yourself, we both started out in the direct. Me and D'Angelo were both in the warehouse shipping out cards, and I've shipped out. I couldn't even count millions of cards in the 5 years I did it. But we used to go in direct. We would go up to 30 cards per envelope, and we would use the longer business style envelopes. And what you would do is get 3 penny sleeves. You put 10 cards in each sleeve. We have custom card stock that we get from BCW, but I tell everybody that's basically like an index card. So you would double side tape those penny sleeves to the index card or the card stock. Use your order as a little bit of extra padding. Put it, tri-fold it, put it right in there. Put in the longer envelope. 1, 2 or 2 to 3, at least 2 stamps. I'm not sure how many stamps is on it because I just shipped them out. I didn't stamp them, but we did do up to 30 cards at a time, every day at indirect. So it is possible to do up to 30 because we've tried it and it does work.
Amazing. Thanks, y'all. Great answers there. We got time for just one or two more. Had a great question here come in. So I filled out the form for Gap just now. Do one of you set up an appointment? So the answer we could. That's one thing is we can see these coming in as we're here, and it's very exciting. Yes. So one of us will reach out to you. Give us a day or so to reach out, and you'll get an email from us with a calendar link, and then you can pick a time that works for you on our calendar, and we'll go from there. So great question, and also fear not, we will be in touch. But it is really exciting to see all these filter through. So thanks to those who have signed up so far. And I will mention there will be a follow-up email tomorrow. So if you missed anything, you feel like you want some more information, there's going to be a TCG Bulk Kings video link where Chase from Bulk Kings goes over features of Pro as well as a TCG Player Pro application link. And so those will come to all of your inboxes tomorrow, just in case you feel like you missed something or you just want an easy place to find those links. So. Yeah, I think that is about our time. I want to thank everybody for the suggestions and the questions in the chat. So fun. It's always so much fun to be in these spaces with y'all. I know we have a blast. It is our honor. And I hope you had a good time, learned something, got a chuckle out of something we said, or yeah, just got something from this. So we will be doing this again tomorrow. It's the same presentation. So if you signed up for both, it's the same thing. But I hope that you got something. And I hope if you were interested in any either pro or growth acceleration program, that you feel like you want to sign up for those things. So thank you all. Thank you, panelists, Jeff, Hannah, Dee, Jan. Thank you, moderators in the chat. You all make this so easy. And yes, a recording will be provided on our Seller YouTube channel. So be on the lookout. And yes, the links will be sent to all of you. Everybody gets a follow-up email. Thank you all. Have a great rest of your day.
Gap team out.
We out.
Oh.
Boom.